Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, hi, my name is Sydney. I film beauty videos 3 days a week, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And today's video is a very exciting one because not only is it a collab, but I'm also filming another Shop My Stash for Dupes video. Today I'm collabing with my friend Alexandria from Eyes of Alexandria. Her channel will of course be linked down below, as well as her corresponding video. And today we are duping the Natasha Denona mini Tropic palette. I will insert a picture right here along with some swatches. This palette released what feels like a couple weeks ago at this point by the time this video is going up. It is a mini version of her larger Tropic palette. Lots of people were excited when this palette released, including myself. I was very excited. I was kind of like, yes, I'm gonna get this. I'm so excited. But the longer it was out, the more I thought about it, the more that I realized, I think I have similar shades. I think I have some similar shades. I think I primarily wanted it to test out the Natasha Denona formula, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to buy the Sunrise palette in the next month or so. So that's a silly excuse. I don't need that. And after today, I'm glad that I didn't buy it. You guys, I'll get more into that when I get into specific shades. But without further ado, let's hop into the video. So first, I do want to get into the shade by shade dupes that I found for this palette in my collection. Now, I did have to go into several different palettes. I didn't really have singles that corresponded with these shades, and sometimes I even had to mix shadows. So obviously this is not cheaper than buying the palette itself. Usually when we're talking about Natasha Denona, it would be more expensive, but in this case, this little mini only retails for $25. So it's cheaper just to buy the palette. If you do really like these colors, if this color story appeals to you, go for it. But I wanted to shop my stash to see what I had. So we're just gonna go in the order of the palette. So the first shade is called Mint Frost. And I went on Sephora to find the shade descriptions because I am the absolute worst at shade descriptions. I don't know why. I'm just terrible at it, and I get like so self-conscious about it on camera and I just like freeze up. So Sephora describes Mint Frost as a pastel turquoise. So I searched and searched my collection and I couldn't find anything that resembled a pastel turquoise. So I had to do some mixing. The first shade that I dipped into is La Playa from Colourpop. It's this beautiful kind of soft, light minty green shade. This is a gorgeous shade, and you guys will see in the swatch by itself. It's really pretty, but it doesn't quite have that little bit of blue that the Mint Frost shade has. So to get that little bit of blue, I dipped into the Naked Cosmetics, I believe this is called their holographic highlighter collection. This was in a BoxyCharm probably a year and a half ago. And I dipped into this blue shade right here, and I just added a little bit of this over top, and I think that got me closer. I feel like in a swatch this doesn't look very spot on, but I feel like when I used it on my eyes today, which I'll show you guys a little tutorial on in just a second, it does look more similar. I do feel like Mint Frost does have a little bit more depth to it, but this was the best I could come up with in my collection. The next shade in the palette is called Exotic, and it's described as a greenish teal shade. And to dupe that, I went into my Menagerie Cosmetics Whale Song palette, which I'm actually using for the first time today, so you guys will get to see a little bit of a first impression on this palette. And I dipped into this shade right here called Splash. It looks more of like an emerald green, but I swear in all the swatches I see of the Natasha Denona one, that one also looks very much emerald green. I'm not really getting the tealish, bluish aspect of it, so I just kind of went with what I saw, and Splash looked pretty close to me. The next shade in the palette is called Laguna, and this is described as a matte aqua blue. And I dipped into my Whale Song palette once again, and this time I dipped into the shade Dive right here. I feel like this one has a little bit more teal, a little bit more turquoise thrown into it than the one in the palette. I think the one in the palette is a little bit more of a sky blue, but this was the very closest that I could get in my collection, and I feel like on the eyes you're not going to be able to really tell a huge difference. This next shade is called Tiger Lily, and it's described as a royal blue. This one I had a little bit of difficulty duping because I don't really have a shimmery blue in my collection that looks very similar to this. So I dipped into my Misunderstood palette and I did a little mixing. First, I went in with the shade right here, which is called The Fates. It's a beautiful, beautiful matte navy. And then I just went over top of it with the shade Jetsam right here. This is a black, I just say it's a black with a lot of blue shimmer in it. This on its own is just a little bit too flat. It doesn't really have enough blue base to it, but I feel like those together get me closer. I feel like it's slightly deeper, slightly more black than blue than the one in the palette, but again, I think you could get a very similar look. The final shade in the palette is called Xena and it's described as a matte pastel violet. To dupe that, I dipped into my Blush Tribe Blossom palette and I dipped into the shade Lysianthus right here. It's a beautiful matte kind of lilac shade, and I feel like that also duped the shade in the palette very, very closely. I feel like maybe the one in the Natasha Denona palette is slightly deeper, just very, very slightly, but I feel like you could definitely get a similar look on the eyes. So that's gonna wrap my dupes up. I'm very, very interested to see what Alexandria comes up with for dupes because I know we do have some of the same palettes. So I want to see if we picked it in the same shades, reach for it in the same palettes. I'm very excited to see that. And the second part of this video is actually a tutorial on this look that I created right here. Alexandria is also doing a tutorial in her video, so if you guys are looking for some look inspo, if you did pick up the palette, or if you just really enjoyed the color scheme, make sure to head over there and check that one out. But I really channeled my inner Natasha Denona today. This is not my usual makeup style. I was kind of inspired by pictures, so I will insert that picture right here so you guys can kind of see what my original inspiration was. I ended up adding some more blue to the lower lash line, a little bit on the outer corner, and I don't know, you guys. I feel like it's very dark, it's very heavy. I definitely could have used falsies, but honestly, you guys, I film my videos after work, and at this point, it's like almost 8 o'clock. I'm going to take a shower pretty soon and just wipe all this off, so I didn't really want to put on falsies. Yeah, but I don't know. I think it's a fun look, but I definitely kind of just realized that I'm very glad I didn't buy this palette while I was doing it because I did cheat a little bit. I used one extra shade from the Whale Song palette that was not included in the Natasha Denona palette because I did the look that I was envisioning in my head beforehand on one eye and it just was not coming together. I needed a matte shade in my crease that was going to kind of match this green, so I did dip into one extra shade. But I just feel like that grouping of colors doesn't really work for me in the way that I like to use my eyeshadow. It's not super functional for me, which not all of my palettes have to be like a one and done palette. I don't mind reaching into other palettes. I actually do it pretty frequently when I just sit down to play with makeup. I think I just got it out of my system with this video. So without me blathering on anymore, let's hop into the tutorial. Start by prepping my lids with my MAC Paint Pot in the shade Painterly. This just gives me a really smooth blank canvas to start working with for my shadows. I love using this to prep my lids for eyeshadow. Next, I'm going to dip into the Whale Song palette, and I'm going to dip into that kind of booger green shade. I know this is technically cheating, but I just felt like I really needed a matte shade to make this look cohesive, and I'm just kind of blending that throughout my crease. I'm not really blending above the crease, I'm sticking pretty much in there. Next, I'm going to take that beautiful deep kind of emerald green shade called Splash, and I'm taking this on an angled shadow brush, and I'm kind of working this into the outer half of my lid and a little bit into my crease on the inner portion of my lid. I do end up kind of winging this shadow out as well. Next, I'm going to dip into the shade La Playa from ColourPop, and I'm taking quite a bit of the shadow on my brush. I'm also wetting it, and I'm kind of carving out the crease with it, not too super harshly because that's not really Natasha Denona's style, but then I'm also taking a little bit of that Naked Cosmetics highlighter over top just to give it a little more mintiness. I'm dipping back into Splash with that same brush, just using a little teeny bit to help blend those two shades together. Now I'm just cleaning up the edges with my makeup eraser to sharpen things up, make it a little more cat eye-ish. And then I'm dipping into those two blue shades that were my ColourPop Misunderstood palette, and I'm just smudging those really, really closely to my lower lash line. I'm taking it about 3/4 of the way in, and I'm kind of adding a little bit of this to my outer corner of my upper lash line as a little bit of liner. Next, I'm dipping into the shade Dive from the Whale Song palette, and on a pencil brush, I'm really just going to buff and blend this out on my lower lash line to help blend those blues out. I'm just dipping into that pretty purple shade called Lysianthus from my Blush Tribe Blossom palette and popping that on my inner corner. I hope you guys enjoyed that little tutorial. I know I had a lot of fun creating it. Like I said, this is very much out of my comfort zone, but it was fun to test something new, kind of try something new. I usually would have really carved out the crease if I was doing a look like this, and really define things. I definitely would use more matte shades, but again, like I said, I was trying to channel my inner Natasha Denona because she creates such gorgeous looks. So anyways, that's pretty much going to wrap up this video, you guys. Make sure you go and check out Alexandria's video. I will always have it linked down below for you. And go tell her that I sent you, say hi, subscribe. She comes up with a lot of really awesome, unique video ideas. But don't forget to subscribe to my channel while you're here. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!